So if you're familiar with developing and designing logos, but haven't done something as detailed as the example we're covering in this class, then this is probably the stage that's going to be new to you. So this is where we're adding, exploring, and then adding and seeing what works in terms of decorative elements. So if we go back to the sketch we created before, you can see we just roughly had the concept of some kind of abstract, not overly distracting, but relevant, if it can be, decorative element to sit within a circle behind the brand mark. Now there's many different ways of doing this, and of course you could compose your logo completely differently. So you might not use a circular element at all. You might have a background element to sit behind your main brand mark or symbol. But for the sake of this tutorial, let's design it specifically to work within a circle, and some of the principles we look at, you can carry those forward and you could really make any kind of composition or arrangement work for you in future. So first of all, the patterns. Now I've picked some out here, the kind of patterns that evoke like a sense of luxury, maybe even royalty. So some familiar patterns here, and it could be something like this that we decide for our interior designer, in my example, to put behind the letter M, behind the brand mark. And if we look across another page, here are some more examples. So you can source these on stock websites. If you Google search for it, you'll find every manner of shape and pattern that you can, you can find free licenses for, free unlimited licenses. Of course, for certain clients who have a budget, you may want to create a bespoke pattern just for them. So again, there's lots of other classes on Skillshare that will show you how to create your own patterns. So if that's what you want to do for your client, simply insert that as an extra stage. Perhaps start with something like this just to see what works, and then create your own custom pattern if you'd like, before heading on to the next step. But for me, in most of my projects, I'll source something that I think is going to do the job, and I may just customize or bespoke it a little. But it's going to be such an abstract element, it's really the kind of overall feeling and the vibe it gives, rather than the specific details in this case. I will show you one example. I'm going to zoom down here. And you can actually create something like this. Now this has a really specific, beautiful illustration that I've sourced. So two lions, and they're kind of sitting. I've composed it this way so it looks like they're sitting on this ornate scroll work. So you can compose elements together. You can actually create something quite beautiful. There's all kinds of possibilities using this technique. So it by no means has to be an abstract pattern, but for simplicity, we're going to do that in our example here. So these are the kind of patterns I was looking for. And once you found the pattern you think may work, I'll show you what we do with it. So this is the stage we were at with our current design. And I'm going to show you the end result and then show you how to get there. So on this next artboard, this shows you the effect we achieved using this pattern. And this shows you the effect we achieved using this pattern, but creating an outline of it and placing it within a circle. So let me take you through that step by step. And again, the more you do this, you'll get a sense for what patterns may work, and what's going to be too distracting or end up looking a little meaningless. So first, I think for our example here, let's just steal this element. I am going to give it a hard stroke around the circle. We can always remove it if we don't think that's working later. So you want to position this more carefully than I'm doing. So it's intersected we'll shrink it just a touch. And then shrink this accordingly. So that's added just a little separator. As I say, you don't have to. You could insert the pattern and just leave it with a soft edge and the wording to go around the outside. So see what you think works best. But I've got this soft stroke here as a divider. I'm just going to bring that down to 2 points. Now next, to get the pattern to appear in the way we want it to, we're going to create a circle. So we want to find where it says center and drag using Option Shift. And you want it to end roughly the same place as the stroke. I've just noticed obviously the stroke was warped a little bit as I dragged it. So that's always a mistake to watch out for. And what we'll do then is delete the stroke. We'll take our circle, duplicate it above, enlarge it just a fraction, and then reverse so that we've got the desired stroke. So this layer here, this plain filled circle, we're going to use a technique called draw inside. Now if you follow my mouse to the left here, you can see this button, draw inside. And that takes you into a special mode in Illustrator where you can place an object in an object. A really useful way of masking details, because I don't want the pattern to spill outside of this circular area. So let's find a pattern we're going to use. You can see here's a few I did earlier. So the pattern itself on the preview stretches outside of the circle. And you can see that's completely hidden, that's masked away. So I'm going to use this pattern to begin with. So you just want to select, copy, come over to your circle. Now you click that button I mentioned, draw inside, and simply paste. And you'll notice if I come away and deselect, that pattern appears only inside the circle. It's completely masked. So we'll select it again, and I actually want to remove any color from the circle at all. So I'm going to double click it, select it, and you'll have to select from the path, double click the path, and we want to, there we are, see the fill so that we can remove it. Escape to come out of that isolated mode. And now if we select the pattern, and we'll simply move that layer right to the back. Now you can see I've cheated here because I'm sure in your version you won't have this stroke around your letter. That was something I played with earlier. So this is very indistinct. It's quite hard to make out the letter from the pattern because it's all overlapping. So a key rule in this method is to create this area of negative space. And you'll remember we actually sketched this. If we go back to the original sketch, we had mocked this up and sketched this negative area. So what we're going to do, particularly as we're still working in grayscale, is just stroke this with white. So make sure white's selected. For me it already is. And add a stroke. Make sure the stroke, if you click this, is aligned outside. If it's aligned inside, you'll actually begin to lose your letter. And if it's aligned to center, again, it's going to ruin the profile of your letter, unless that's the effect you want to achieve. So stroke outside, and increase the weight fairly generously, so you've got a nice area of negative space. Now you'll notice there'll be little almost glitches just here, where you've got the edge of a shape and it's almost removed by this clear zone we've created, but it's just creating like a messy little element that looks like a mistake. So obviously you'd want to tidy that up when you come to finalizing the artwork. But we've done this really quickly because the idea is That's one example. You'll select it, duplicate it, and then try another pattern. So let's copy and double click, remove and paste this new pattern in. And of course you can shrink it and scale it as desired, and escape and see how that looks. And the idea is you'll try lots of different iterations to see what's working best, until you find something, you know, that's really working, really doing it for you. Now this already looks pretty good. I'm just going to place this in black because that's bothering me. It's not quite, oops, not the stroke, the fill, not quite matching the rest of the artwork. And there we go. Already that's got really good potential. To really identify whether it's working or not, I actually add the finishing effect, and it's easy to do that. So in a future video, when you've got a few of these iterations to pull on, I'll show you how to bring this into Photoshop to apply a finishing effect, and that way, before you invest too much time fine-tuning it, you can see if it has the potential to work and if it's something you want to take forward.